Hey everyone, I'm Victor Dwyer with Piranha, and this is the Failures and Wins podcast, where we get the latest people and where they talk about some failures and some wins. And then we're going to really dive into customer lifetime value today, where people are rebuying the product. A lot of us go for sale, 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 but we never care about our current customers. Unfortunately, that's how we are on Amazon. It's amazing. It's important to have that conversation to really nurture that customer and really establish that lifetime value. Today we have David Green on today. We're gonna jam through some things. David, thank you so much for joining today. Love to get an intro on how you got into this world.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Victor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in this world of PPC, Google Ads marketing for about 7 years, and it's been a wild journey. I started off as a Ruby on Rails developer, writing copious amounts of code, and decided I did not want to spend my life writing copious amounts of code, and moved over to digital marketing. And here we are, a few years later.
That's great. That's great. So you definitely are more in the developer type of mindset, more like is what I'm hearing. So going from like coding to Google Ads, PPC, like very developer type of things. Is that right?
Yeah, like it's. I started off like I worked corporate for a number of years in sales,
Yeah.
and then I eventually decided I want to branch off and test the waters with my own on my own.
Yeah.
I taught myself the right code. I started building out websites and brochure sites, and started some e-comm sites before I learned about Shopify. And yeah, then over time, it's just evolved even further. I found a real like and passion, I don't say passion, but love for Google Ads and psychology, how to influence people to make decisions that they want. And yeah, and then it got me a little bit more further here. So yeah, a little,
That's great.
brief history.
That's great. And when going through that process of going through like a website developer and then becoming an entrepreneur and founder, what made you take that first step of saying like, okay, this is something I want to get into? What like were you at a previous job when you were a website developer and like full time, and then you went away and said, hey, I want to do my own thing? What kind of like made you want to make that decision?
Yeah, good question. I was working a full time job, and I was working on a couple like projects of my own, a couple side projects in the online private sale real estate space. So I was trying to help people who wanted to sell their homes but didn't want to pay super high prices for real estate agents. And I'm up here in Canada, so in Toronto specifically, is one of the hottest markets for me in North America for the past decade. So people with a few dollars, $10, $20, $30,000, they would go through my company, and we help them, pay a few $100 to market their listing and sell. So I did that. Things started to go really well, and then real estate market took a shift, and my business
Yep.
took a shift as well at the same time. But one thing I gathered from that though is a fail. I learned quickly how fast things can go up and how fast it can go back down.
Yeah.
I learned a few things though from that, which actually part of the inspiration of my Google Ads um, focus right now is I worked with a Google Ads agency, and when I had a few dollars for that company, and they put me into a six track, and I paid my retainer every single month, and I was told a certain amount of leads would come in, and I didn't get a single lead over the 6 months, and it
Wow.
hurt. I remember that pain. I was like, hey, if I ever go on this path, if nothing else, I'll be transparent and tell people when it's not going to work, because they
Yeah.
must have known, it is what it is. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And when it coming down to, so that was like some failures that you went in your past. What are some strengths and weaknesses that you found in yourself? Because as a founder, you have to wear a lot of different hats. You're all the way from the CEO to the janitor. Like you're wearing all the hats all the way down. And what kind of weaknesses did you kind of find in yourself saying, "Oh wow, I'm not good at that"? When you going through that journey, when did you really see like, "Hey, like this is something that I need to like this is something I need to hire for. that this is a weakness in there? How did you figure that out, and how did you navigate it?
Yeah, I think I I'm a workhorse, and you start to realize that you can work your tail off to a certain extent, but working your tail off isn't necessarily scalable. I think what I learned over the experiences I got from that was, you can put all the hours in, you can get to a certain scale, but at a certain point, you have to start hiring, delegating, finding people that are smarter than you in specific expertise, and let them take it and run with it further. And that's how you grow your overall company. So I
Mhm.
knew when I launched my agency that there will be a point where I want to start hiring, and I did that much. I didn't really hire my previous business. I did a lot of it myself, and then like maybe a couple contractors. But this one, I was a lot more intentional to make sure that, hey, I know how much capacity I have. I know there's, quite frankly, more like what I'm not that good at, and I got to make sure I hire for those gaps
Mhm.
versus trying to either do tutorials for hours on end, because it's very so we've all been there. Where you're trying to, you're bootstrapping all your skills on top of your funded, but at some point you're gonna say, hey, call a spade a spade. I'm not gonna write JavaScript, no apps by myself. So
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then going into a little bit about like customer lifetime value and going in from that perspective, where do you see the most? I know this is going to change for lots of clients. Where do you see the most value when it comes to customer lifetime value? For example, do you start you might start a journey through a Google Ads search query, and then you might remarket to that person through YouTube ads, and then where you start to increase that customer lifetime value. Can you go into that, like that funnel process of like what you kind of do to set up that funnel, and like how you target these people to increase that customer lifetime value?
yeah, good question. And to be fair, it's a little different dependent on the space. So e-comm is different from SaaS, is different from pure lead gen, B2C lead gen. So a little bit different depending on the vertical you're in. Typically, generally speaking, though, the clients that we've had that have had the most success in growing their LTV have been the ones that really engage with their current customer. We're always in this world where we're expecting to scale, 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 and you get it. Like, you want to find new business, new opportunities, grow. We're all part of the same game, if you will. But you just start to appreciate that. Think about, Victor. What's a brand that you love that you're in there to?
I would say let's just for this Powerade. Let's just say Powerade for now because it's right
Okay,
here.
all right, great. And why? Why do you love Powerade?
I like the taste, and I like the like feeling it brings me, like saying like, hey, like it's Powerade, like energy, like 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 hydrate, like get ready for your next sports game, whatever it may be. Like this is what I get from Powerade.
Precise. And you probably have a flavor that you like, which is that
Yeah,
looks like a cherry, a strawberry, or maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I look at it like customer lifetime value, saying, if Powerade had an option of coming up with a new extreme berry flavor, but at the expense of cutting the cherry flavor that you have right now, how would you feel, Victor, whose favorite flavor is red cherry Powerade? Would you feel that you were loved and cared about a brand that you were supporting? Probably not, because they would feel like, hey, you're looking for the next best thing in Powerade, but you're not looking at the ones who have been loyal to you for a long period of time. So
Yeah.
I think, like, building out like funnels, like as you mentioned, like, there's different paid channels you can bring your traffic in for. Once you figure out what your strategy is to get them in and to make that first purchase, nurturing that nurturing that customer, nurturing that client in the space you're in is vital. And And Klaviyo, and many e-comm owners out there, Klaviyo is a great e-commerce email marketing platform to use, and like you build out so many automations and flows in there. So we've seen some clients who put together great flows that they'll go to birthday flows, or ones that are, if they haven't made a purchase in 3 months, and they're of high value, trying to figure out why they haven't made that purchase, giving them the offer to come back in and keep them engaged. So yeah, like really important, like building out relationship with your current customers, like no matter which channel they come from, is super important.
Yeah, 100%. It really is. And when it comes down to the actual processes of like having that customer lifetime value, what for, let's say, an e-commerce company. So let's say if I'm an e-commerce company coming to you and saying, "Hey, how can I increase my customer lifetime value of reorders, people that have purchased me but haven't reordered yet?" What would be your strategy to get people to reorder my product?
Question. So there's a couple different approaches here, but for, let's say, e-comm, there's something called an RFM analysis: receipt, frequency, monetary value. So it takes a combination of those three metrics and says if somebody has purchased more recently, so someone who's purchased in the last month instead of the last year, frequency, they purchased consistently for the last, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and they've spent a good amount of money. The higher the value, or the higher the rating of those three metrics for a new customer, typically indicates that they might be of higher value to that business. So if you are so for example, a Shopify owner, I'm gonna pull it up here just so I don't mess up the name here. But if you're a Shopify owner app that is called, I think it changed recently, but there's a couple good apps that do this. One is the Repeat Customer Insights app. I want to make sure I get that right. Really good app, and in that app they break down the RFM analysis. So they'll say, "Hey Victor, you had 1,000 customers last month or the last 6 months. Here are the 10% or 8% that are your VIP customers. These are the ones that come back. They bought every month from you from the last 6 months. Their average order values is way above the standard for the store, and they obviously they bought very recently because they bought frequently. So like their RFM score would be higher. And what you want to do with customer lifetime value is segment your groups. So your VIP audience, you don't want to send your VIP audience the same offer as cherry picker audience, the ones who came back just for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So they came for that one sale, they got the 30% off, and they might disappear and never come back again. But you've had your day one customers, or those who've been there for a long time, and those are the ones you want to make sure you continue to build it with, give them offers periodically as part of your strategy, and make sure that you have a tool that helps you segment those who are VIPs, those who are average, and those who are below average. And that's the most critical parts of this strategy, so you can reward the VIPs accordingly and make sure that they feel that they're loved and they want to back and buy.
How do you adjust your offers based off of that? So like, for example, would you, for your VIP customers, would you give a lower percentage off? And then for new customers, you get a higher percentage off? Like, how do you usually you say, yes, I totally get the segmenting out, but how do you adjust your offer to that segmented audience? I'm curious.
Yeah, so it depends on the strategy of the store. We often, when we're giving advice to e-com store, discounts work to an extent, but you don't want to offer discounts all the time, because you will start training your customers, even VIPs, to wait for those discounts. So we find out there are other complementary products that go well with complementary products that a majority of your VIPs are buying. Maybe you offer that as the next time you purchase your $200 order, throw in a pair of, a clutch or something that's of high value to that audience, but may not be a huge cost to that business. And we find some of those are typically ones that stick a bit more because discounts can come and go, and everyone's doing that discounts, but like understand who your audience is, understand like what they value and what those VIPs value, and adding some value adds in there are what we find can be tools that are far more valuable than just throwing out percentages to them. So to answer your question, like it's not purely a discount play. It's more of just finding like something that's a great value for that audience that they can use.
Do you ever give free value offers? So like ebooks. I feel like there's a lot of ebooks out there, so I don't know how valuable that offer is anymore. But like, what are some free offers that are good to like get people started in the like lead capture process?
So on the lead side, like e-comm still, or thinking more on the lead gen?
Let's say both. Let's say both.
Say both. Yeah. Okay. So like there was a couple examples. So let's start with the lead gen side. So we're working with a client that does tutoring. So it's tutoring typically for grades 1 to 6 high school, grades 1 to 6 younger kid in the US. And what we started to figure out is like we had hard parents to bring their child in for tutoring. But what we found was we were looking for a competitive advantage. We started saying that once we had a child in for a few months and that they had committed to 3 or 5 months of tutoring, one thing that alleviated a lot of stress for parents was having the tutor connect with the child's teacher and helping out like lesson plans and figuring out like what the gaps were that child was having, because there's broken telephone that happened, the teacher, to the parents, back to the tutor. So helping the tutor actually connect with the parent was super valuable, because what ended up happening was now the parents go, wait a second, we've been working with this tutor company for a few months and they've just taken one thing off my plate, of my busy plate as a parent. If you have kids, you just realize that you're all over the place, and they took one thing off my plate that had value to my child and also that saves me a bit of time. So again, didn't have to offer a discount to stay longer, but when the school year's over and they choose to maybe end tutoring for the summertime, there's a much better chance for the next school year that child's going to come back and go back to the same tutor and the same tutor company, because mom or dad remembers, like they put in that extra mile to try to connect a little bit off of me and help my child. So just one example of a value add piece there that takes a little bit extra time there, didn't have to throw really a lot of money against it, but you can extend that lifetime value because they feel valuable. They feel that they're really, the extra effort been put in for them.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. Cool. Yeah, that's really fascinating. And when it comes down to maximizing it, like I think we went through a little bit, but what are some insights in there, like how to really maximize your customer lifetime value? Whether if it is retargeting, whether if it is like going through YouTube ads, whatever it may be. Love to get some insight there on how you can maximize your lifetime value for your customers. For
Yeah,
e-commerce. Yeah.
for e-commerce. Yeah, so to maximize it, again, on a similar point, you have to segment. Segment is so important. You have to be able to identify those who are, really in your camp and who are supporting your store, and those who are average, those who are below average. That's the most critical part. And then from that point, when you start, we see so many times, because e-commerce businesses have so many things on their plate, and we see these store owners and teams, and they're juggling so many different hats, and they're trying to fill in different people. So it's busy, it's crazy. If you don't have an automation of some sort that can identify when someone has a VIP, and now it's starting to trickle off and not become a VIP. So they used to purchase every 6 to 8 weeks. They've gone 10 weeks now. They haven't made a purchase. You should have something in there that catches that and red flags that and goes back and says to them, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. We miss you. Did we do something wrong? Or did you forget about us? Or whatever it may be. Because it's far easier to re-engage, and not just easier, it's far expensive to re-engage with a past customer that just might have been busy with life or maybe was disgruntled about something. At least you can address it versus trying to go
Yeah.
back and gladiator sports of Facebook ads, Instagram ads. To be like, it's way easier to do that than it is to do the paid search or paid social side. So that's a big piece. Identify those groups, and when you know who your VIPs are, just make sure like you have checks and measures in place to get them back when you lose them. Keep building up more VIPs and trying to keep it as strong as possible. Those are the ones that we really go with.
Cool. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Okay. And is there anything you would recommend when it comes down to setting, whether if it is setting up a Google Ads a certain way or anything else there, or any other insights that you want to provide on the customer lifetime value, whether it's through Google Ads, through anything else there? You said segmentation was really important. Is there any other insights that you want to provide there?
Yeah, like the same I mentioned before. If in that app, they actually, one thing they do really good. So the segments that I just mentioned, they create a whole bunch of audiences for you. So they'll tell you your VIPs, who are your potential VIPs, who are your VIPs, or they call it defecting, so they're about to leave. So they build out all the audiences, the segments I just mentioned. They do the whole thing for you. It's color coded, it's a nice graph, really well done. So what we do sometimes as a strategy is we pull out the VIP lists, we upload them into Google Ads as a customer match list, try to build lookalike audiences or similar audiences in Google off of those. So like then, and they take in not just the customer match list of all your customers, but this is hyper targeted to those who really provide exceptional value to that business. And we try to use Google to find more of those customers if possible. Sometimes small, sometimes it does not work for obvious reasons, but we've had a couple of times where we found some great winners building off of that similar audience list. And the key here is we've tracked in some cases the new customers that have come in from that similar audience list. Do they actually provide higher value to the store? I mean, are we bringing more VIPs into the store? And more times than not, experience we've done, we have seen that they provided more value to the store than the average customer. So there is something to be said about taking that approach.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. And is there any particular Google ad? I hear like Performance Max is killing it right now in the Google ad world. Is there anything else Google ad wise that's doing really well that you think, like, either whether it's YouTube ads, like, is there anything that people should be doing through Google right now that a lot of people aren't?
Yeah, so Performance Max is we've been told that this is what we have to use. So everyone knows that everything for smart shopping got migrated over. So Performance, we see mixed results on, but it has gotten better over the last couple of months. At least we've seen that with most of our clients, we see algorithms start to really pick up. But YouTube, honestly, is one really underutilized channel. YouTube ads, we really encourage our clients to test YouTube ads. And this is lead gen and on e-comm, and there's some pushback or reservations sometimes, but we're like, hey, like there is some value to be had here, and we run enough tests on different clients to see. Obviously, there's not always home runs, but you can find some really great winners. And on lead gen, your CPAs are significant, not more, but all the time, but many times they're just much lower because it's almost like the wild west of Facebook ads. Everyone talks about, set up a Shopify store, connect our Facebook ads, and just it automatically just generated money for you. And I feel like YouTube is in a phase right now where there's a lot of that. Video, for obvious reasons, with TikTok is on trend as a medium that younger consumers use. So the one I'd say is the most overlooked across campaigns that we watch or we take over is YouTube ads. 100% one that we think should be invested in more.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, what is the cost per clicks on average for YouTube ads?
Varies. Like it varies. Like as a fraction to paid, it might be 10% of what paid might be. I'm just putting a random number. It's really low, but the YouTube model also isn't a pure cost per click model. A lot of it's driven. There's a few different metrics they use. So it's cost per 1,000 views, cost per view of your actual video. So the metrics are a little bit different. You're not looking at just CPCs like you are in search. So YouTube ads is a little bit of a different beast in that regard in terms of the metrics that you're using.
Cool. I love that.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. That's super valuable. And any other insights that you have recommended on YouTube ads? Like, is there certain placements or anything else? Like, any other insights that you have in YouTube? Like, hey, this one placement kills it. Pre-roll YouTube ads, in-stream YouTube ads. Is there any insight that you have which YouTube ads work the best?
Yeah, it depends obviously on the industry, the message. There's a lot that goes into it, but as a general blanket approach, I would say with in-stream, like those pre-roll ads, your hook. Everyone's watched a YouTube video before and seen that commercial. You get the 5 seconds to click over. So imagine like those 5 seconds. That hook is super. If you do not get your hook right, your ads probably won't do well. And the beauty of that as well is a lot of our clients feel like they have to get the perfect hook that's going to attract everyone to watch their video. And you don't want everyone to watch your video. And those pre-roll videos only get charged after somebody watches 30 seconds of your video. So more times than not, what you want to do is have a hook that is going to attract the audience that you really want to attract, but also repels those who are not interested at all. Because that way you don't pay for maybe a little brand awareness, great, but it's a good system and one that can be utilized at a reasonable budget. And like your hook is so important. I can go on and on about this, but if you don't get the hook right, oftentimes we don't see the overall campaign will work well.
Cool. Yeah, that's super valuable. Is there anything else that's been top of mind for you saying, hey, like, oh, I see a lot of people doing this, A, and a lot of people need to be doing B. Like, is there anything that has been top of mind lately that you've been noticing that, hey, you say, hey, a lot of people need to be doing this? Is there anything else like that?
Yeah.
And maybe there's not. Maybe it's maybe there isn't anything that like you don't see anyone doing wrong or anything else like that. Maybe like bad YouTube ads, or like, hey, they're wasting a lot of spend on a particular Google ad search query. Like, is there anything that you see a lot of people are doing wrong within this world?
Yeah, so like in the Google world, yeah, go on and on. There's a lot of things that would do. The people are disagree with my opinion. So I think now it's like I'll stick to e-comm. We've been talking a lot about e-comm, but there's so many ways that you can really performance match, for example. Sometimes like a lot of folks believe it's going to set it and forget it, and there's so many pieces to a shop feed and the nuances of shopping feeds that are super valuable and that often get neglected. So understanding the shopping feeds, the different field, how segment these fields to test different approaches, performance max campaign. It's not just set it and forget it. If you go down the route performance max, there's so many ways to layer and segment campaigns to really maximize the growth of the account. And I think that's one thing that we were seeing, especially as we're forced to move over to PMax. We're seeing this a lot more. Just set it, thinking you get to set it, forget it. It's like, no, it's a little bit more than that, and there is still some finesse, love, and care that you should put into those accounts. So I'll leave it at that. It's probably something better, but I can't think of it now.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. But David Green, please tell them how to find you, how to find your website. If the audience is interested in that, please tell them how to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is devslove.com. So it's devslove.com. That is, thank you, put it right there. So website, and my email is david@devslove.com. So feel free to shoot me a quick note if you have any questions. Victor, you are awesome. Thanks so much for leading this lively chat with your great energy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. This is the Failures and Wins podcast. Talk to you guys.